Hey, how you doing? This is Craig Mack from StopDrinkingExpert.com. Welcome into another video. Apologies, there wasn't one yesterday. I just couldn't get a decent internet connection. Don't you hate internet support people? Everything that is normally in place is in place, and you get on the live chat with them, and they say things like, "Have you checked that your modem's turned on? Have you tried turning it off and back on again?" Yes. Anyway, I just gave it 24 hours and everything seems to be fixed. So let's have a go at it today. And today I want to share with you something very powerful. And I think if you stay to the end of the video, you will get a perception on this that could change your life. A dramatic statement. I wonder if he can pay it off. Well, let's find out. So I want to share with you today a NLP secret that can make quitting drinking so much easier. In fact, forget quitting drinking. Any of life's problems can be made easier with this technique. Are you ready? Let's do it.
Are you sick and tired of feeling sick and tired? Are you ready to take action and get started with the world's most respected and successful quit drinking program? Visit the website stopdrinkingexpert.com and reserve your slot on today's free quit drinking webinar and ebook download.
Okay, so I need to tell you a story, all right? And this goes back nearly 25 years now when my son was born. And he was born in a hospital in the northwest of England called Sharrow Green Maternity Hospital. Excuse me. Doesn't exist anymore. It's been knocked down. And when my ex-wife went in, her waters had broken and she'd gone into the delivery ward. She was put in this ward next to a woman called Julia. And they were both at a kind of similar sort of stage of the pregnancy and the birth. And they became friends. They supported each other during the labor and all this sort of stuff, and they talked. And when it came time for my ex-wife, Denise, to be taken down to surgery, because it was going to be an elective C-section, they said goodbye and promised to meet up as soon as they both had their beautiful babies in their arms to see whether they'd had a boy or a girl and so on. So anyway, we went down to the surgery. It was ridiculously traumatic, but anyway, we came back to the ward with a bouncing baby boy called Jordan. And once we got kind of used to the idea that we were now parents and we'd settled down a little bit, we noticed that Julia had not been brought back to the ward. So we left it a little while, and then we asked a nurse. We said, what's happened to Julia? And they said, well, unfortunately, there was a problem, and Julia is now in intensive care. They said there was a problem with the birth. So here's me 25 years ago with my newborn baby boy, Jordan. And here he is in this picture over here, a few years older. And well, as it turned out, Julia had a baby girl called Bethany. And this is Bethany here in this picture. Now, when Bethany was born, they noticed pretty quickly that there was something wrong with her. She wasn't responding the way a newborn baby should. There was definitely problems. And they spent the first couple of weeks of her life on the intensive care ward. Eventually, Julia was sent home with very little information, that just that the baby had stabilized and they would have to have follow-up appointments to try and work out what the problem was. And when Julia got Bethany home, it was obvious that this was not a normal baby. There was some big problem here. And so they kept pushing and persisting the doctors to do research and checks and find out what was going on. And they called Julia in and they said, sit down, we have some bad news for you. They said, unfortunately, your daughter Bethany has been born with a tumor on her spine. And I'm afraid to say it is wrapped around her spine and therefore is inoperable. She has months left to live. So devastating news. Absolutely devastating. And they went home to try and process it. Anyway, a year went by. 18 months went by. 2 years went by. And Bethany was still there, still fighting. She couldn't walk or even have the range of movements of a normal baby. What she could do was kind of crawl at high speed around the room. Nobody moved faster on four legs than Bethany. Anyway, so they kept going to the hospital, and the doctor said, okay, this is amazing. We don't understand what's happened here. It must be a miracle. There's no reason she should be alive at this point. But look, we don't want you to get your hopes up. Prepare yourself. This child will not make it to be a teenager. At some point, she will die. And during this time, at no point will she be able to walk. She will never have the use of her legs. She will always be in a wheelchair. Bethany today is nearly 25 years old. She's still great friends with my son. She is the receptionist for a legal firm in England, in the northwest of England. They absolutely adore her. They remodeled the whole office place to accommodate her electric wheelchair. And she is a successful, wonderful, beautiful adult human being against all odds. Now, you might be thinking, well, what's that got to do with quitting drinking, Craig? The point is, nobody would have blamed Bethany for giving up, right? If Bethany had said, I can't do anything, I'm just going to sit here and vegetate. There's nothing I can do in life. I'm just going to accept my fate. Nobody would have blamed her for that. Everyone would have just said, fair enough. What a tough hand you've been dealt. But she didn't choose that option. She chose to fight. She chose to ignore her handicap, her obstacles, and focus on the possibilities. And what I'm saying to you here is, whatever reason you've got for not dealing with something that's causing you problems in life, whether that's quitting drinking or financial issues or relationship problems, whatever reason you've got that seems plausible and logical, is it as good as the excuse that Bethany had and chose not to use? I doubt it. I doubt it. And so, in NLP, neuro linguistic program, we talk about how you frame a situation, because we're all viewing these obstacles and challenges in life through a specific viewpoint, through a frame. Because, one event can be given labels by various different people, and those labels will all be different. For example, let's say you lose $50 walking down the street one day. You would give that a label of being a bad thing, right? You would give it a permanent label. You'd say that was a bad thing that happened to me. But what about the person who found it? Wouldn't they label it a good thing? So what is that event that happened? Is it good or bad? Well, it's neither, is it? It's subjective. It depends on the way you look at it, on your frame. And so what I want to get across here is, if you're struggling quitting drinking, you need to change the way you frame it. You've got to reframe your approach to this. You might be wondering, well, Craig, how do I know how I'm framing it? Well, if you were here with me, I'd ask you questions. We'd talk about it. I'd say, tell me about your drinking. Why haven't you managed to deal with this? And you would say things that give out clues as to your current viewpoint. You would say things like, well, Craig, I've tried to quit drinking and I just can't do it. Or you'd say, I'm fine staying sober Monday to Friday, but then the weekend comes around and I just can't get through it. And you're making statements there as though they're permanent and factual. I can't get through the weekend. That is your frame. That is your self-programming. And you create a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're programming yourself to fail. You're saying, I can't get through the weekend. And you're repeating this over and over again. It's becoming kind of a mantra inside you. So you gotta think about what your internal language and how you're seeing things. Instead of saying, I can get sober during the week, but I can't get through the weekend, you say it differently. You would say, previously in the past, I struggled with weekends, but I know going forward, this is going to be easy. And you might think, well, Craig, that's just new age nonsense. Just changing the words can't change anything. That's wrong. It's wrong, because there is a part of your brain called the reticular activating system that deliberately goes and tries to bring towards you what you focus on the most. All right. So if you're focusing on failing at the weekends, the reticular activating system in your brain will go and try and deliver that to you. If your focus is on living a happy, sober life and quitting drinking being easy and just something that's not going to phase you, guess what happens? The same thing. The reticular activating system goes, okay, we're going to use a load of confirmation bias here to find a load of evidence to support this thinking. It sounds simple, but it's extremely powerful. And it's not just about quitting drinking. Any challenge or obstacle in life, I want you to question how you're framing it. It's something we talk about a lot in the course. If you are ready to take action and quit drinking, what are you waiting for? Why are you putting this off? Go book your place at today's free quit drinking webinar. I'll give you a copy of my best-selling book, Alcohol Lied to Me, as a gift just for turning up. And that is step one on this journey to a happy, sober life. Thanks so much for watching. Have a happy weekend and a sober one. And I will see you next week for more videos and another live stream Wednesday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. See ya.